We have North Carolina in the room to close us out for the 2017 kickoff event. Coach Larry Fedora will address us for a couple of minutes, and then we'll bring the student athletes up.
All right, I'm on. Couldn't wait to see you guys. You know, the summer has been way too long, so we need to get started. But really excited about this upcoming season. You guys know that we've lost quite a bit of production on the offensive side of the ball. So our defense this year is going to, especially early on in the year with having the most experience, is going to have to carry us while these young guys on offense grow up a little bit. You know, we're still to win football games in this league. You got to take care of the football, you got to create turnovers, and you got to play really sound special teams. So that will still be the goal for our football team this year. And no matter what the expectations are on the outside, we still expect to compete for a Coastal Division championship.
Coach, thank you. We'll bring your student athletes up, and then we'll rejoin you here in just a second. MJ, you're first. MJ Stewart, we've got microphones floating around the room, so we'll get it passed to the first question, and then we'll take it from there. So who wants the first question with MJ? MJ, we're going to go right here, first row to your right.
MJ, Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. Obviously, your coach said that defense is obviously a key with a lot of offensive pieces that have gone away. So just what you can say about having some of that pressure on your shoulders and how you can respond to that type of pressure, what you can say about if the team needs to lean on the defense, how you feel about that in the secondary.
I would consider it an honor, you know, that the team has relied on the defense this year. To be the backbone of a team, it's like I said, it's an honor. And so we're going to take that head on, and we use that as motivation defensively to show people that we were one of the best defenses in the nation.
Let's keep it right here in this area, MJ. Second row to the right.
Chad Floyd, Tar Heel Blog. MJ, what have you seen from some of the second-year guys like Patrice Renee, KJ Sales, Miles Dorn, some of those guys that are going to need to get a little more playing time this year?
I just see great work ethic from them. This offseason they've been working really hard, you know, working on their craft. And they just make it fun, you know. The young boys, especially KJ, you know, he's a character, you know. He just makes it fun, and that's what you play football for, brotherhood.
Other questions from the room? MJ, to your right again.
Bob Holiday, WL.com. Obviously, change of defensive coordinator. How has that affected you? You know, a lot of guys back, but some system changes, perhaps.
It's been a really smooth transition. Coach JP was there last year, and so all the guys, you know, respect him. He has to respect the other guys, and you know, it's really not a big change between Coach Chiswick and Coach JP.
MJ, we'll take a question in the very back. We'll get the microphone to the camera stand. Gentleman with his hand in the air, or soon will be.
MJ, Mark Larson, Spectrum News, Syracuse. I appreciate your style. What statement does a bow tie make?
You know, bow ties are pretty hard tie to tie, you know, so any man that could tie a bow tie, you know, it just shows, you know, he has a lot of work ethic, and he's a classy man, so.
As the pictures are taken now of the bow tie. Any other questions in the room from MJ?
I hold the bow tie straight, you know.
MJ, I'll ask the last one from right here at the podium. The teams that you've been a part of the last couple of years all seem to have their own personalities each year, each season. How would you describe the personality of this year's program?
I would say hungry, just for the fact that, you know, there's so many questions, you know, surrounding our team, you know, quarterback situation, you know, the production that left, the defense, how we're going to hold up and be the backbone. You know, there's so many questions, and, you know, we use that as a team to motivate us. And, you know, we have people saying we're going to be under 7 wins. I think the prediction was like 5th in the Coastal Division. You know, and we just use that as motivation. And I constantly remind the guys that, you know, we are a team that needs to be reckoned with in the ACC. And, you know, the guys really, you know, take that on, and they work hard, and we all work hard all summer, and we're going to continue to work hard through training camp and be one of the best teams in the ACC and in the country.
Anything else for MJ? MJ, you're done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bentley, you're up next, sir. Bentley Spain from the offensive line. He'll spend about 5 minutes with us or so. So, Bentley, I think your first question once again will come here from the first row to the right side. And Dan?
Bentley, just looking at the offensive line with the addition of some of those transfers that have come in with Rogers and Dillard, just what you can say about the makeup of the offensive line and them bringing their expertise over, but obviously they have to gel with guys that have been there like yourself.
I think the great thing about our O-line is that we're a group of guys that really isn't competitive with each other. We just want each other to do well and be a successful unit. So we've welcomed these guys with open arms, and we're excited to have them. And all it does is build more depth on our O-line, which is always a plus.
Bentley to the camera stand, back of the room to the left.
Hey, Bentley, Mark Larson, Spectrum News, Syracuse again. What will it be like without Mitch's voice in the huddle?
I'm extremely happy for Mitch, and we definitely miss him and wish him the best. But, you know, the next guy is going to step up, and we're excited about all the guys competing for that position, and we're ready for them to lead our successful offense this year.
Bentley, if you like, you can push that microphone up a little bit if that helps you. Coach Fedora will have to pull it back down, of course, but it'll be okay. Let's go to the back of the room. We'll get a microphone to about the 6th row to your left. Please stand.
Hey, Bentley, Jeff Gravely, WRL-TV. You were just talking about presence in the huddle. What role does that play for a quarterback as far as when they're in the huddle, how they act in the huddle toward you guys, how they call the play, and how they react to things?
Well, I think one thing that made Mitch really special was his consistency and steadiness, no matter what the situation was, in speaking with us and in everything that he did. And I'm confident that the next guy that steps up is going to be the same way, and we're going to take care of him as an O-line.
Other questions from the floor for Bentley? Bentley to our right, 2nd row.
Bob Holliday, WRL.com. Coach David Cutcliffe this morning talked about how physical the Coastal Division is. Your thoughts on that, and maybe who are some of the most physical teams, players, besides yourself, of course?
I would agree. The Coastal Division is very physical, and that's something that we stress as a team and as an O-line. And, you know, imposing your will on someone physically is one of the most demoralizing things you can do to another team. So that's definitely the goal of every O-line. So that's just what we're going to try to do every game this season.
Bentley from the podium here to your right. Statistically, a running back or a quarterback or even a cornerback knows how well they did during the course of the game based on those numbers. How do you as a lineman, how do you as an offensive line group, how do you know that you've played well that day?
Well, it's assignment and execution. If you did the correct assignment, you executed your block, you know you did pretty well. But if you want to, put some numbers on it, you could look at the rushing yards, because that has a lot to do with us. But it's really just about assignment, execution, and being as physical as we can be. And you did well if you wear down a defense over the course of a game.
Any other questions from Bentley or for Bentley? Gentlemen, thank you. You're excused, and we'll bring Coach Fedora back up to the podium. And Coach, given my size, I pulled down enough microphones in my day, so that wasn't a reflection just on you. Questions for Coach Fedora? To our left, 2nd row, Shannon. Please stand, sir, if you would.
Richard Walker, Gaston Gazette. Obviously, a lot of people are talking about the quarterback situation. Shaz Surratt's a guy from around here. What would he have to do to get the starting job, and talk about his progress?
Yeah, Chaz is doing a nice job. He's coming along just like we expect him. He's developing in the offense. The guy that's going to win that job is going to be a guy that can lead our football team on. He's got to be able to make good decisions and take care of the football. And if he does those things, keeps moving those chains beyond the white lines, then he can be a guy that can help us be successful.
Mark, we'll get you a microphone. We'll come right here to our right, 3rd row.
Yeah, hi, Larry. Mark Armstrong with ABC 11. You're obviously supremely confident in your offensive system. How plug and play is it, and is this the year when maybe we find out how anybody can slide into it?
Yeah, I think we're going to find out this year. I've never, in all my years, I think it's around 18 years of running this offense, I've never experienced this. So, it's a little bit unknown for me. We're going to find out. I think our staff has done a good job of recruiting. I think there's a lot of guys that you may recognize their name from recruiting, but you've never seen them on the field. So, it's time for them to step up. It's time for them. It's their opportunity to become a household name. And so we're going to find out. I think the biggest question for me is at the quarterback spot. And we have a graduate transfer that we've added to that competition group. And so, how quickly all of those guys can integrate, how quickly they can become a part of our team. That's the unknown for me.
Coach, let's go to the camera platform in the back.
How you doing, Coach? Mitch Brown with WTKR3 in Norfolk. 5 years ago, you guys played Old Dominion, and that game got out of hand. It was 80-20 in that final score. 5 years later, you guys are coming to Norfolk for a game with Old Dominion in the third week of your season. Do you feel that this year's game will be a little bit more competitive than maybe 5 years ago when they were in a different scenario?
Yeah, I know Bobby's done a great job up there, and I had a lot of respect for him when we very first played them. And that game got out of hand. It was just one of those games that everything went our way, and it did not go their way. But he's done such a tremendous job with that program. There's no doubt in my mind when we go up there, he'll have them ready to play, and we'll have to play well. We'll have to play really well.
Coach, to your right, first row, to Dan.
Coach, former Syracuse assistant on your staff now, DeAndre Smith. Just what you can say about him as the running backs coach and why he was the right choice to lead the backfield.
Yeah, DeAndre and Chris Kapilovic played together in college and were good friends and have been good friends for many years ever since. And every time that I've had an opportunity at that position, Cap's pushed hard for him, and he really pushed hard for him. And they said, Coach, he's really the perfect fit. Just need to bring him in, interview him. And we did. And once I met him and met his he's got this great personality. You can tell that he can recruit just because of his personality and his work ethic, and brought him in there, and he's been a great addition to our family. I mean, his family, our family, just merged together, and he's done a great job with our guys in the spring. And he's working with all new guys. We don't have a guy that's probably had 100 yards worth of carries on the football team at this time. And so he's got to really make an imprint on this football team.
Camera stand to the back, to the left.
Hey, Coach Fedora, Mark Larson, Spectrum News, Syracuse. A lot of talk about Trubisky, obviously, but Ryan Switzer, how big a hole does that leave?
Well, it's hard anytime you lose guys of that caliber. But, it's something that we do in college football every year. You have a group of seniors that leave, and so you hope you've done a good job of recruiting. You hope you've done a good job of establishing your culture so that the kids understand what it means to be a Tar Heel, what the expectation level is. And so I think we've done that. I think our older guys now teach our younger guys. So I'm going to expect guys like Rontavious Groves and Thomas Jackson and those guys to step into that role at that slot and be good football players. Because they can. And they learned a lot from Ryan. And if they develop it the same way Ryan developed, they're going to be really good football players.
Coach, left side to about the seventh row.
Hey, Coach, Jeff Gravely, WRAL. We talked to Bentley a little bit about huddle presence. He's in that huddle. He can see that directly. You're not. Do you seek feedback from the linemen, the running backs, of how the quarterback does handle the situation in the huddle, which reflects leadership?
Yeah, I was looking forward to seeing how he answered that question since we don't have a huddle. So, but yes, quarterback presence is very important in our offense. Even though we're not in a huddle, the quarterback has to have a presence, and he has to be able to, be the general out there. He's got to be able to run the whole thing. I am able to see that. There was something that, with Mitch that we were working on all the time. Some guys, it's more natural for them, So it's going to be interesting to see these four guys. We talk about, the presence of the quarterback all the time and how important it is on the football field. It's not hard for the offensive line, just even in a no-huddle situation, to feel the presence of a quarterback, even though they're not facing him. They can feel it. The way he makes the calls, the way he directs guys on the team. So, I don't have to ask Bentley, but I could. He could tell you even though we don't have a huddle.
Coach, let's come back to the right side with Bob Holliday.
Bob Holliday, WRL.com, Coach. For 4 or 5 years, you've had big receivers or tight ends that have made plays. 2 years ago, you could play 3 at once. They're all gone now. Obviously, Austin Proehl and Thomas Jackson are not going to grow but so much.
Right.
Do you have some big receivers waiting in the wings that we haven't heard of?
Yeah, you've got Javal Millette, who's a 6'5" guy that's with us, who's got great ability, and he hadn't been on the field yet. So this should, this is going to be an exciting time for him. You got Brandon Fritz, who was injured all last year, playing at the Y position for us, who's a 6'4", 245-pound guy that's moved into that tight end position, and really before this past year has been really productive for us. So I think both of those guys could have great years for us. We do like having those long guys on the outside.
Coach, first row, far left.
Good afternoon, Coach. Manuel De Leon with theskyboat.com. Your team has won 13 of your last 16 ACC games and 9 of your last 10 road games. How do you keep that momentum going into the season as well as conference play?
Yeah, it really doesn't, nothing changes in what we do. And that's why it's so important to have a sound philosophy. So as guys move in and out of your offense or your defense and your special teams, the philosophy doesn't change. It's to create turnovers on defense, play great in the red zone. Offensively, it's to take care of the football, right? Put the ball in the end zone. And then on special teams, it's create game-changing plays. If we continue to do those things, then we'll still have success.
Coach, I think our microphone is moving towards the camera platform in the back. Big, long swing. There we go, to the right side.
Hey, Coach. Matt Harris, WSOC Channel 9 here in Charlotte. Miles Dorn had an impressive true freshman year for you. What's the outlook for him heading into his sophomore year at safety?
Yeah, Miles should really have a huge year for us. I mean, he's a guy that learned the position last year. Came in, he's a long 6 foot, 2.5, 215-pound safety that will hit you and that can roam the field really well. So, he had a great spring, and we really look for him to take off this year.
Coach, I'll ask a question from the podium. There's been rhetoric over the last 36 hours that the 5th year seems to be when the blueprint starts to stick. As you start your 6th season, would you agree with that?
That it starts to stick?
Stick, yes, sir.
Yeah, you know what? I do think it takes time to establish the culture that you want, and that's something that's really important to me. I mean, to build chemistry, to build a bond, to build all the things that you need to have a good football team, and when you build a culture, you're trying to build something that's sustainable, and that's why you do it. So having the older guys come teach the younger guys how we do things at Carolina is a huge deal. When that happens, then that means that we can have success and we can sustain it.
Other questions for Coach from the floor? We'll go back to our left side. Shannon, still first row, far left.
You guys return your top 3 tacklers. Can you speak on the importance of Smith, Holcomb, and Miles, and what they bring to this defense and the experience that they have?
Yeah, well, Donnie's played the longest on this defense, and so he's a guy that is one of the leaders because he's been out there and played in a lot of games. Donnie's a guy that will, he's going to come up and hit you. He's going to make plays for us. And then you take Smith and Holcomb, 2 young guys, but they've played a lot of football. Holcomb is from the state of Florida. Well, both of them are. Andre Smith and Holcomb are both from the state of Florida. Both of them can really run. Andre has really developed into that true Mike linebacker that you're looking for, a guy that can get everybody in the right position, a guy that demands respect, a guy that has respect by his teammates. And so, that group in the linebacker position, along with Casey Collins, really can be the strength of our defense this year.
Other questions from the floor? Coach, I'll ask from the podium. One of your colleagues in the league mentioned the 4th side of the football, being the sidelines, and how important that is for the kids who aren't in the contest.
Yeah.
What kind of focus do you put on being that next up, being that ready, being engaged for the kids that are beyond the bounds of play?
Yeah, well, we have a protocol on our sideline of what we expect. You're not there to be a spectator. If that's the case, you get you a ticket and go sit in the stands. So we expect those guys to be into the game. If a guy's helmet comes off, a coach should not be looking for his backup. The backup already hit the field because he's seen it happen. All those kind of things are really important to us. Those guys have to be in the game. And then when the offense or defense comes off the field, it's important that they're transferring knowledge between the two. We want that to happen on every play because there's going to be a point in the game when those guys are going on the field.
Coach, we've got a question right here to the right side.
Coach Chad Floyd, a lot of the coaches have been really quick to mention the special teams game today, especially replacing Weiler, replacing Logan and Switzer. Both, who are some of the guys that you expect to step into those roles, and are you nervous about special teams this year?
I'm nervous about everything. But yeah, I mean, you're replacing two record-breaking returners for us in kickoffs and punt return. And so, you know, we had some great competition in the spring. I'm not ready to name a guy at either of those positions. So it should be exciting because we've got some true freshmen that are going to come in that are going to also compete for those jobs. Kicker, the same thing. I mean, Weiler did a tremendous job for us the last 3 years. And so, you know, we haven't named a kicker yet either. The only thing we've named is our punter and Tom Sheldon, who's returning. And so, you know, that is a, you know, you guys have followed us. I mean, that's something that we've prided ourselves on the last 5 years, is being really good on special teams in all 4 phases. We've got guys that we have created a culture that guys want to be on our special teams. They understand for us to be successful, we've got to be good on special teams. So it's not something that we've got to, you know, coax out of them. They know it. It's part of the culture now that we're going to be good on special teams. You're going to play on special teams, and it's a big part of the game.
We'll stay on the right side, third row.
Larry, I was just curious for your take on the new rules about coaches not being allowed onto the field of play to voice their opinions with the refs. You're an active sideline presence. How do you figure you'll handle that?
I'm going to do a really good job of that. That's, you know, I think it's a great rule. I really do. I think it is. I don't think there's a reason that any coach should show up an official. No more than an official should show up a coach. We wouldn't allow a player to show up an official, so why allow a coach to do it? So I think it's a good rule. I think if you look at the NFL, I think the head coaches of the NFL do a great job of controlling themselves in those situations, and I think it's something that needed to happen at our level.
Any other questions for Coach from the floor? Coach, I am curious from the podium here. If you're nervous about everything, what gives you peace to be able to sleep at night?
Well, I usually have some help to sleep at night. So, no, I really, you know, and it's not changed from one season to the next. It's not because we lost our quarterback or anything. It's, you know, it's when you're passionate about what you do and you love what you do and you want, you know, success for your staff and for your players. I mean, it's you pour your heart and soul in it, and you're not going to, you know, there's no moment that you're awake that you don't think about what you can do to help your program and to be better. So
that works for us. Coach, thanks a lot. Good luck.
All right. Thank you.
Folks, that's going to put the wraps on the 2017 ACC Football Kickoff. Visit theacc.com. It's going to be your hub throughout the season for all the good stuff that is football. We'll see you again. Have a great fall.